Your club has a secret villain, and their own fans are begging for them to be sold. I have compiled the list of the most despised players from Europe's biggest teams. The reasons will shock you, and the number one name is a betrayal you never saw coming. You need to see the final reveal to believe which superstar has broken all trust. At Real Madrid, it is not a single name burned into the chance of frustration, but a shared curse split between David Alaba and Ferland Mendy. The Santiago Bernabeu has grown tired of watching Alaba crumble under pressure and Mendy retreat as though every forward pass burns his feet. Last season, supporters could not decide who cost them more: Alaba misjudging runs like a man blindfolded, or Ferland Mendy turning possession into panic. Matches would end, and fans would not argue about the scoreline, but about which of the two had disgraced their crest more: the defender who cannot defend, or the fullback who fears advancing. Across the city of Manchester, on the blue half, uncertainty reigns rather than certainty. One week, Manchester City fans fume at Ruben Dias. The next, their anger shifts to Ederson, and then it finds its way to Matheus Nunes. If hatred were a revolving door, Nunes is the one spinning at the center. They remember every misplaced pass, every moment his hesitation cost them possession, every match where he was shifted to right back and looked like a stranger in his own boots. 10 points. That is the number some claim he single-handedly lost them last season, and the number that now clings to his reputation like a shadow. Some try to defend him, saying he was forced to play out of position, abandoned at fullback where Kyle Walker should have stood. But others argue that excuses do not win games, and that loyalty to a club means delivering under any circumstance. Yet behind the memes and mockery, there is a quiet, desperate plea: do better or leave. On the red half of Manchester, there is no confusion. There is only one name: Manuel Ugarte. At Old Trafford, fans do not debate his place, they condemn it. They say they feel a chill when they see his name on the team sheet. They joke that wearing his jersey should be a criminal offense. What angers them most is not that he fouls or misplaces passes, it is that he does it with the confidence of a man who thinks he's delivering brilliance. He charges into tackles like a soldier with no plan, fires shots from impossible distances that end up closer to corner flags than goalposts. And when by some rare miracle he strings together more successful passes than failed ones, they applaud not in admiration, but in disbelief. They remember the child he once was, dreaming of football greatness, and they cannot understand how that dream turned into this nightmare. Not too far away, in the Red Sea of Merseyside, Liverpool fans find themselves trapped between hope and humiliation. They welcomed Florian Wirtz as a promise, a future heir to Mohamed Salah, the one meant to restore creativity in their midfield. Instead, they have crafted compilations of his worst moments, pairing them with dramatic music and mockery. They call this the cruel age of Vigo AI, where a poor performance does not vanish after 90 minutes. It is replayed, re-edited, and reborn into memes that outlive careers. They believed Wirtz would be second only to Salah, but instead, he is outperformed by players who barely make the bench. Federico Chiesa, out of form and out of favor, is still called 20 times the player Wirtz is. They whisper that if he does not rise soon, he will drown in ridicule and football will move on without him. But not every club's hatred is so certain. Wander into Tottenham Hotspur's restless stands and you will not hear a single name, but a scatter of uncertain frustrations. Some grumble about Richarlison, irritated by his theatrics and inconsistency. Others turn their anger toward Brennan Johnson or Guglielmo Vicario. The squad is like a calm ocean, with dangerous undercurrents, not openly despised, but never fully embraced. Perhaps that is what makes Tottenham different. They do not hate one player. They fear that no one will step up when it matters most. Meanwhile, North London burns with a quieter, more confusing fire. Arsenal, a team more united than ever in recent years, still has one soul trapped in a cycle of love and loathing. Gabriel Martinelli, adored one week, accused of ruining the game the next. When he sprints down the wing, the Emirates roars his name like a hymn. But when his form dips, those same voices turn into daggers. They complain he is selfish, wasteful, overrated. It is as if he carries the weight of every supporter's dreams and disappointments on his shoulders. He is not hated because he is bad. He is hated because they believe he should be great every single time he touches the ball. At Barcelona, however, hatred is not born from disappointment. It is born from betrayal of expectation. For years, Marc-Andre ter Stegen was the lightning rod of fury. But now a new name has taken his place, Dani Olmo. It isn't just the missed chances, though those alone could spark riots. It is the one against Paris Saint-Germain, the one that fans replay in their minds like a glitch in reality, the open net, the breathless silence, the ball sent into nothing. They say he has missed more open goals than some players have scored in their careers. They are not just angry, they are embarrassed. Some even buy EAFC games just to sell him from their virtual squads, spending real money to erase his digital existence. That is not just hatred, it is symbolic revenge. Yet the most bitter of all may lie at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea fans are not subtle in their outrage. They do not whisper it, they broadcast it. Jamie Bino Gittins, brought in with promise and price, now walks under a storm of boos and sarcasm. They say he dribbles like he is blind to the rest of the pitch, head down, no pass, no finish, only chaos. They say they would rather see Mykhailo Mudryk, a winger who costs fortunes and courts controversy, or even Jadon Sancho, who is barely allowed through the walls of Carrington. And then there is Noni Madueke, who wakes every day to work, grind, perfect his craft, only to open his phone and see fans comparing him unfavorably to Gittins. If betrayal had a picture, it would be that a hardworking man, watching loyalty thrown aside for cheap outrage. But hatred in football does not always come from failure. Sometimes it is born from the simple act of existing under the world's harshest spotlight. At FC Barcelona, the anger toward Dani Olmo grows not only from missed chances, but from the comparison to legends who once graced the Camp Nou. When he steps onto the pitch, he is not seen as Dani, he is seen as the man who fails to live up to Andres Iniesta's ghost, the one who cannot recreate Xavi Hernandez's rhythm or Lionel Messi's magic. And so, every time he misses an open net or hesitates in front of goal, the crowd feels insulted. They do not boo because they hate the player. They boo because they mourn the memory of what the club used to be. Meanwhile, at Arsenal, Gabriel Martinelli faces a different kind of storm. He is not compared to legends long gone, he is compared to himself, the version that dazzled last week, the version that scored from the edge of the box as though destiny lived in his boots. Now, every misplaced touch, every poor game, is treated like treason. They call him inconsistent. They question his passion. They rewrite his story every 7 days. In one breath, he is the future of the club, and the next, he is a liability they wish they could bench. And through it all, Gabriel Martinelli runs. He keeps running toward goal, toward redemption, toward a fan base that loves him so deeply it sometimes forgets how to show it. The tale shifts to Chelsea, where patience does not exist, and forgiveness is rarely offered twice. Jamie Bino Gittins wears the shirt, but he carries the weight of 100 million expectations. They mock the way he dribbles with his head buried in the grass, the way he loses the ball like it was never his to control. They laugh cruelly and say, a child in Sunday League sees the pitch better than he does. And still, he tries. He runs, he attempts, he fails, and the boos rain louder. What makes it worse is what fans did to Noni Madueke, the quiet professional, the early riser, the devoted trainer who wakes up before dawn, hits the gym at 4 a.m., trains harder than anyone, only to see his name used as a punchline in comparisons that elevate Gittins above him. Some say that betrayal does not always come from rivals. Sometimes it comes from your own supporters holding your effort in their hands and crushing it without remorse. Across Europe, at Real Madrid, David Alaba and Ferland Mendy wake up each day knowing that one wrong move could light the fuse once more. Alaba's defensive misjudgments, Mendy's refusal to push forward all of it, is etched into the memory of a fan base that demands flawlessness. Last season felt like a war inside the backline, a contest over who would be blamed for the next disaster. Lucas Vazquez joined the battle of errors, but Alaba and Mendy took the brunt of the fury. They do not face criticism, they face exile in words. Some supporters say even a struggling Sunday league player could outrun Alaba in a one-on-one. Others say they trust a 3-year-old with crayons more than they trust Ferland Mendy to deliver a final pass in the box. And still, every week, the stadium fills, their names are called, and they walk into the arena, knowing that love and hatred both sound like applause. The journey descends back into Manchester, but this time it is not confusion or debate, it is absolute conviction. For Manchester United fans, there is no mystery, no uncertainty. Manuel Ugarte, his name has become a symbol of misplaced hope. They do not question his effort, they question his judgment. He rushes into tackles like he wants to fight the ball rather than win it. He launches shots from 30 yards as though distance is a challenge he must conquer. His fouls are reckless, his passes unpredictable, his decisions baffling. And yet, somewhere buried beneath their anger, there remains a broken kind of loyalty, because if he was not wearing the badge, they would not care enough to scream his name. Over at Liverpool, Florian Wirtz's story feels more like a tragedy written in pixels. This is not the era of booing from the stands. This is the age of digital crucifixion. When he loses the ball, someone clips it. When he misses a pass, it becomes a TikTok joke. They merge his mistakes with AI-generated edits, pairing his errors with dramatic music, calling it Wirtz x Vito AI, as though it was an artistic collaboration. He was supposed to follow in the footsteps of Mohamed Salah, to be the next great architect of Anfield's future. Instead, he's compared to Federico Chiesa, a footballer who barely touches the pitch, yet is praised as 20 times the player he is. No jeers echo from the cop-only silence, then sarcasm, then global humiliation online. From all this hatred, Tottenham Hotspur remains an anomaly, not because they lack frustration, but because their anger has no singular shape. Some glare at Richarlison, furious at his antics and invisible goals. Others point at Brennan Johnson or Guglielmo Vicario, unsure if their mistakes are flaws or growing pains. Tottenham's greatest fear is not failure, it is irrelevance. They do not know who to hate because they do not know who will lead them. Their squad feels like a song with no chorus, emotional, promising, but unfinished. And then, somewhere in the noise of Europe's greatest stadiums, the story circles back to Manchester City, where hatred is like passing clouds, never staying long in one place. Matheus Nunes stays at the center of it, the man blamed for 10 points lost, 10 matches cursed. Yet even here, some fans hesitate, wondering if he is a scapegoat in a machine too perfect to tolerate human error. But football is not logic, it is emotion. And as long as stadiums fill, as long as flags wave and songs thunder through the sky, there will always be a name on someone's lips, spoken through clenched teeth, whispered in defeat, or posted in capital letters at midnight online. Because hatred in football is not always true hatred. Sometimes it is wounded loyalty. Sometimes it is broken expectation. And sometimes it is simply love that has forgotten how to speak gently. So now you know the players who face the most fury from their own supporters. Tell me which fan base you think is the most unfair. Let me know which player on this list you would defend with your last breath. Share the name you believe deserves all the criticism in the comments. I want to hear who you would add to this list. Follow for more content that reveals the hidden truths of football.